Hi guys, how are you all today morning? Good morning. Today is 18th June 2022. My name is trsv Raghavan and I am a published author of Amazon Kindle and paperback with Amazon. I write on fiction, spiritualism, and assorted subjects. Spiritualism happens to be my favorite subject. This is my spiritual channel. In this video, I would like to share with you a couple of opinions or ideas formed by me during my contemplation of a particular fable from the great Hindu epic, the Mahabharata. This particular fable gives us a clear instruction that when we are attracted to somebody, especially from the opposite sexes, then we must have our brain in full form to differentiate between the various types of love or attraction for a particular person. There are three types of love for a particular person of the opposite sex. First is total physical lust, which arises out of etheric senses of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. This particular type of love is called infatuation. The other one is from the astral mind. The first one was from the etheric senses. The second one is from the astral mind of feelings and emotions. If our love for a particular person is due to attraction out of feelings and emotions, then it is called platonic love. But on the other hand, if this attraction is because we have a same wavelength with the person we are attracted to from the opposite sex, then this particular love, which arises out of causal intelligence, is called that of soul mates. Though the soul is not involved here, and this is totally material, yet to differentiate between the various types of love, we call this as a love between soul mates. Now, we have to differentiate between these three and then be very careful to find out which type of love we are engaged in or we have been caught in. When it is either lust or feelings or emotions, we have to be very careful because in that case, the likelihood of our being carried away by our feelings, emotions, lust, senses, etc. is more. In that case, we do not know the actual feelings of the opposite sex person. We may be attracted to him or her, but the same may not be the case with that person. For all you know, you must be thinking from your etheric senses or astral mind, whereas that person is thinking from his or her causal intelligence. In such a case, we have to be very careful and tread on eggshells because if we make one slip, we are going to regret it forever. Such is the case that I would like to discuss with you now. In this case, one particular king from the Hindu mythology, from the kingdom of Hastinapur in India, made a mistake out of pure infatuation, and it was such a mistake or sea slip that it ballooned into a mountain and gobbled up the whole kingdom in the next century or so. What it is and how this happened is the crux of this particular story or the episode. In the Treta Yuga of Hindu history, during the period of Lord Krishna, there happened to be a king called Shantanu. He was a very noble and valiant king, and he ruled the famous and all powerful kingdom of Hastinapur. This king was single, young, energetic, and he had a roving eye. One day, this king went on a hunting trip. When he was hunting, he came across an incredibly beautiful woman who was roaming around in the forest. The king looked at her. For him, it was love at first sight. He did not know who this person was, but she was lovely and very, very pleasing to his eyes. This sort of attraction is actually infatuation, and it is born out of the five senses of the etheric body. But the king did not know this then. He did not ask this mysterious woman who she was, or probably he asked, but she gave him some ambiguous answer. This woman knew there and then that this king was besotted with beauty and her grace. The king had fallen hopelessly in love with this woman. The king proposed to this woman. She said, "O king, I am ready to marry you and become your duly wedded wife. However, I have one condition." The king asked, "What is it?" This woman said, "That you henceforth, after we are married, will never ever ask me any question about my deeds." So besotted and blinded with love or lust was this king that he readily accepted this promise, this clause, without any thinking, thought, or logic. He accepted this clause and promised to this woman, If you become mine as my wife, I will never ever ask you anything. The two got married. 1 year later, this woman gave birth to a beautiful infant boy. The king was very pleased. But one day, early morning, the king found that this woman took the infant in her arms and began walking into the forest. Intrigued, the king followed this woman to see where she was going. This woman went and threw the infant baby into the Ganges river. The king was shocked, outraged, and very, very angry, upset, and sad. But he had given a promise to this woman that he will never ask her any question about her deeds. This went on for another 7 years. In another 7 years, this woman gave 6 more infants birth, and then, like in the case of the first baby, he carried those infants to the forest and threw them into the Ganges river. The king was beyond himself with grief and agony, but he could do nothing about it. When the eighth child was born, and this woman was carrying the infant in her arms and going towards the Ganges, the king could control himself no more. He was totally shattered. "Oh, evil woman," he cried, "you are as devilish and demonic as you are beautiful. In the last 7 years, you have thrown 7 of our innocent infant babies into this Ganges river, and now you are going to throw the eighth one. Don't you have any heart? Have some pity on those innocents. Can't you think like a human being?" This woman turned around. She faced King Shantanu. "No," she said, "I cannot think like human beings." The king asked her why. She said, "Because I am not a human being. I am a celestial nymph, and I am none other than this Ganges river personified. I and this river are the same. I never drowned those 7 children. I just threw them into my own lap. And I did this not because I am devilish, but because I had to do this to help those 7 children or those 7 souls." The king was stunned. He could not believe his ears. "What exactly is this?" he asked. She said, "Once upon a time, these 8 children had incurred some curse from a sage who cursed them that until I gave birth to them and threw them into the Ganges to purify them, they will not attain salvation. This is some promise that I had given to these 8 souls. I gave salvation to 7 children, but this eighth one, before I could do, you prevented me by asking such indiscreet questions. From now on, this boy will be with you. This boy has probably some earthly karma left, and that is precisely the reason why you asked me this question. I am not going to throw him into my lap, but let me tell you that I'll be his mother, though I will not be around to protect him, nurse for him, or care for him. This particular boy will become very valiant and great, and history will remember him for eternity. This boy was none other than Prince Devavrat, the first son of King Shantanu, who lived for around 150 years, and during these 150 years, he wrote the history of Hastinapur. We will talk about this person in my next video. Please subscribe to my video and press the bell icon so that I can keep reminding you of my other videos. Till we meet in my next video, it is good morning from TSV Raghavan.